Let's have a look to see where we are going on which battlefield or which game mode we've got going ahead. So Strongholds on Live Fire Slayer, on Streets Oddball Recharge. I feel like this is probably a perfect series for both these two teams to be going head-to-head, right, Hooters? Because I feel like every single time they've gone head-to-head, it has been very, very tight between them. And I think these game modes and these maps are very, very good to kind of get those micro kind of decisions, being able to get you that little bit extra in those game modes, right?
Yeah, I do love them. We speak about this quite a bit, starting with an objective and then moving to a Slayer, because we really do see different teams excel at particular game types. And so, the Slayer we've found is really the great equalizer, I feel. Objectives really do help separate probably those strong teams. But when we move to that Slayer, it becomes a scrap. And that's where the teams, I think, with more experience can really start to shine through just from a real technical point of view of play. They only have to focus on slaying. Those really mechanically skilled players can come out and come on top. So the Slayer, I feel, will usually dictate the way this series will ultimately go.
Yeah, and I think it is going to be a joy for us to get into that. When we do eventually get into that, lads, obviously we do have a little bit of time before we get in towards this first series. So I'm excited for us to start to talk about this. And I guess, Justin, with the conversation that we've got going with this kind of turbulent top four, I want to say, it feels like a lot of the teams are, possible able to take some series on and off each other. Do we feel like the Direwolves right now are kind of just not trying to show too many of their cards? Because I feel like last week they certainly could have been able to beat Digital Nation and maybe just took their, their foot off the gas a little bit just because they've already secured a top four. Do you feel like maybe some of these teams might not be trying to overperform before we get towards Melbourne?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. It's just, different day, different tournament time. It's whoever's playing good on best on the day, right? And sometimes it's like, is there a bit of strategy with that? But these guys are competitors. They want to win. There's no one throwing. They're not like purposely missing shots. When they're locked in the game, all they're thinking about is how are we gonna get one up over these guys. So I wouldn't think that. And if Direwolves has a misstep here and there, and that doesn't really matter. They're getting more consistent each week, and you just got to watch out for them. And they're just been hodling their roster this entire Halo Infinite. They're hodling big time, and they're just going to be crypto billionaires with their rosters come DreamHack.
Mate, no one's going to be a crypto billionaire right now.
No, we don't want to have a crypto talk.
I didn't want to bring it. I didn't bring it up.
I'm not going to be a part of this. No, I'm cutting this off right now. No talk about crypto or anything else. I've got another topic for us to talk about. It's a good kind of question because we saw the resurgence of this BBR roster, right? So now the question starts to beg itself is, what's happening to Junior? What's happened to this Final Form roster? What happened to Jordan when he was able to join this squad? They were able to win Pro Series number 5, but now it seems like that Adz is back in this BBR roster. Benji's floating around with that. So obviously it's ANZ, so we've got roster mania everywhere. It is kind of crazy that we have some pretty big, I would say, free agents that are floating around at the end of this Pro Series and then going into the regional qualifier, right?
I mean, Adz just sort of has the trademark on BBR because he's been a part of it for so long. I don't even know if he's actually filed a patent for it, or a copyright patent for it, but he can just pretty much walk in and say, I'll take my spot back, thank you very much, and just plops himself right there on the top of their roster. But yeah, the junior one is an interesting one, actually. I completely missed the fact that he's not here this week. So, he, put some tweets out a couple of weeks ago saying that he was, I'm back and I'm committed and I want to get back involved, and then we don't see him this week. So he's such a talented player. You think teams would just be jumping at the chance to get him on their list. So perhaps there's some other stuff that's just not enabling him to compete this week. But with DreamHack quickly approaching and only a few online tournaments left to go before we can really start to set those teams up for DreamHack, he'd want to be getting back involved pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I guess, another talking point about, the other side of the coin as well, right, Justin, is Jordan. And I feel like it is, noteworthy the fact that he stood in for Divine Mind in the Armageddon lane, right? So he was able to replace Rated, and they got themselves a second spot. So I think that probably just raises his stocks a little bit. Obviously, it meant that his stocks were relatively high for a team like Divine Mind to use him as a fill for one of their mainstay players. So I think, when you look at these players going forward in towards DreamHack, there's a whole lot of questions that are going to get answered in towards the regional qualifier, and there's a whole lot of questions that are going to be answered in this series, because this fly through means that we're about to jump into map number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Direwolves and BBR. They're going to go head to head. Let's see who comes out on top.
Thank you very much, Luke. Everyone get excited. We're finally in the game. Start the game, start the game. No more talking. Well, it's time. We're going to be launching it in. Direwolves versus BBR. Hoots, my man, are you ready to fight up?
I can't wait, Joss. You sounded like the Twitch chat just then with start the game, but we are starting the game. We're just loading in here. We have noted before for those international viewers who are joining us that these Aussie games do take a little bit of time to get into with our internet being not up to scratch with a lot of the other developed countries. But look at this rush coming straight through on the B side here from Direwolves. Feel sorry for... Yeah, it was a real, just met with an absolute barrage of fire there. It's clearly from the get-go, Direwolves wanting to lock down this B side, which no surprises, Justin, they do. A and B both now capped for the Direwolves. So they're starting the score off here at the very opening stanza of this game. We do have that overshield popping soon as well, Justin. Something to keep an eye on, as we have mentioned in previous weeks. That OS now being so much stronger than in the previous tournaments we've run due to a recent patch. So that overshield becomes so crucial in enabling teams just to run in and break setups. But it does look like it is in the hand of Direwolves. I think it was Deano that managed to pop that in. So we have Deano now looking to put a bit of pressure on B. Adz there manages a great reversal and the perfect. That overshield now completely worn out, but it was enabling him to take on two players, Justin. And look at that, with that overshield picked up now. 4 down for BBR for a moment there. They just went in and took complete control of the map. Balled out to a flyer on 5 kills as well.
Yeah, and listen, Direwolves, they picked up that overshield pretty uncontested. BBR was in no position to pick that one up, and I don't know if they decided to, give that one up to try and get some more map control or different positioning or something like that, but you can't be letting those overshields go without a fight, and so far that seems to be translating into a really good start from Direwolves on board with Deano. He falls now with Zerkil, still got that initial snipe that spawned. Only one more bullet to play with. See if he connects, and he does get the quick scope body shot. Adz is there for the double. Nice clean shots onto him. Ninjestics is trying to snip him out, and he gets the back whack for the triple kill. Oh my gosh, Ninjestics, not so ninja, had no idea he was sneaking there.
Direwolves have got about 3 times the amount of slays as BBR, so that's really the tail of the tape right now, Justin, to start this off. And look, with this OS about to pop, it looks like BBR only really going to have maybe... Benjy's not even going to be in a position to defend that, so they're going to take that next OS completely uncontested. Zerkil just doing a great job providing some protection for that OS, and I think, I'm not actually sure who was able to put it in, but it was absolutely Direwolves that were able to get it. The slaying, Justin, is just out of control right now for Direwolves. Looks like potentially this land they were at on the weekends giving them a bit more practice, and they're just gelling so smoothly right now.
They certainly are. They are hardened veterans going into this game. So must be paying dividends, all that land practice that they had over the weekend. And I don't think BBR's been prepared. They've had a little bit of a break, a few of the guys, and they're going and fighting up against a well-tuned Direwolves roster now with balls. Pretty manic things going on the screen there. I wasn't sure how I was going to call that one, but we are rotating over to Vaampt. He finds himself Adz, easy cleanup for him, gets a reset on that stronghold, and it seems like BBR just can't get anything going. Scoreline, there's almost about 100 points the difference, and the game isn't over just yet. There's still plenty of time for BBR to claw things back, and that's a great thing about Strongholds is once you're holding 2 of them, it stops the other team from scoring, meaning that you can mount a big comeback if you can get firing.
BBR is starting to bring the Slays back a little bit on the ledger here, and we actually do have them scoring now. So you are seeing, as they are starting to maybe gel a bit more, they're shaking some of the cobwebs out, they're able to get in positions where they can start capturing more strongholds. We do see just before then, Direwolves choosing to retreat a little bit, given that they were down a couple of Slays. It is 2 down for each team right now, but we have had BBR going a bit of a run now right now. So they put on about 25 points uncontested now to Direwolves. Direwolves putting a bit of a rush through here, through middle, making a push into that garage, but they actually divert. It looks like they're going to head to B, so I like that. They knew they had Adz, I think it was there, isolated, decided to push in and look to take that B side, and look, they have flipped it straight away. So as soon as Adz drops, that B side goes. A actually now looking to be captured as well. So even though they're only 1 down, BBR, they are about to go down a triple cap. So this is a big flip from Direwolves right now. BBR went on about a 33-point run, but Direwolves answering straight back with the triple cap, and whilst BBR are going to take this C back, it looks like we do have Direwolves still scoring here, Justin, holding A and B.
Yeah, it looks like maybe they gave up at Stronghold to secure that OS. Bradl's got his hands on that. Bradl's is struggling a little bit, 3 and 10 currently, but it looks like that overshield has been used up as well. And look at that, triple cap for BBR. Might be only momentarily be able to hold that, and Direwolves respond instantly, and it just looks like BBR, they can't maintain control of what they got. Maybe getting a bit overzealous going for the triple cap. Maybe they should have just focused on hodling the 2 hills.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the slays. So it's Zerkil and Vaampt clearly leading the way right now for Direwolves. Not too many deaths for either of them either right now. So they're working really well in tandem. We are on board, obviously, with Zerkil right now. Going up against bradlllzzzz, almost gets the kill on him there. He was down a shot or two, so bradlllzzzz using that to his advantage. But, you know, still clearly with the shot on point for Zerkil, being able to put a pretty good fight there onto bradlllzzzz. Bradlllzzzz is now looped around through mud. Vaampt going up against him. bradlllzzzz doing a great job at staying alive there, but unfortunately 2-on-1 is always going to be a tricky one to win that. While we have been talking, Justin, BBR haven't really put any more scoreboard pressure on. It has been Direwolves scoring pretty much the entirety of the time here, although they were 3 down there for a little bit. So Deano sort of starting to pull back a little bit, take some map position while his teammates are spawning in here. B being held by BBR as well as A. So BBR starting to get a bit of score on the board now. They did obviously start really slowly. We spoke about it a bit earlier that their slaying just wasn't up to scratch. They are starting to pull it back quite a bit now in terms of the slays. It is probably just bradlllzzzz hanging back a little bit on the scoreboard from the rest of his team, but he has got all those assists coming through there. So he's clearly being the aggressor. You do see 14 deaths, so leading the way for deaths on BBR, but that is just simply a fact of him obviously putting himself out in there, trying to do as much damage as possible across the map.
Yeah, he's the Bruno Mars on the squad. He will jump on a grenade for you, that is for sure. Now we're on board with Deano. Few whiffed shots there, but it doesn't matter. Adz, how you going, mate? Few body shots there from the cheeky Deano from Direwolves. And looking at the scoreboard here, Hoots, it's 120 points the difference right now. And BBR, they seem to, they've had a couple of triple caps, and I don't know, they just keep overcommitting to them, because it looks like Direwolves has no problem whatsoever breaking those setups and taking back control. And Balls, he had a little sliver of overshield there. He's got the heat wave in the back pocket. Somehow survives one shot. All that help from his teammates there. We can see the outline of Adz just bouncing in the corner there, baiting, hoping someone will round the corner, but Balls, he turns around and goes, Adz, you're not worth my time. I've got other things to do. And look how aggressive he's getting. He's sliding out around those corners. bradlllzzzz, he falls. And look at this. Direwolves, they're just moving as a pack. You know, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
I thought we were going to get a little willpower, but I think it is a bit too early in the night from you right now, Justin. We can save that till later when we do need it. But I think the tail here really has been this OS control by Direwolves. I don't think BBR's actually managed to get their hand on a single one, and those few times that Direwolves have had them, they've just been able to go in and completely take control.
What?
We did see, I think, a nice stick at the end. There might have just been a bit
frag.
of a... I think it might have been a...
He's stuck it in his armpit, Hoots. That was unbelievable.
I think it might have been a spike, was it not? It was just a bit of maybe an observer.
Roll the
I'm not
tape
100%
back.
sure.
Stop the game.
We can roll it back a little. We can roll it back a little bit later, but we do have here BBR going on a bit of a score again. So it's been about this 100-point gap that's stayed for most of the match so far. BBR haven't really been able to peg back anything from that 100-point deficit, but at least they're able to stay in it, right? And that's something they need to be able to do going into this game. Going into the next game, we obviously are going into a best of 3. So, you know, if they don't win this, they are obviously still in it. But this 100-point gap is going to be a tricky one to come back from, given that they only need about 50 more points, the Direwolves, to take this one out. So they are scoring now, about to cross over this 200-point threshold. And this is probably the point, Justin, where if you're BBR, you do start to panic. You want to get out on the map more. bradlllzzzz was going for a bit of an attempt on that OS. He did manage to grab it, but Benjy's going to be there. This is the first OS that BBR's actually been able to get.
I think bradlllzzz's managed to grab one before, but it's kind of, you know, if we don't know what they're doing with that OS and using it to make plays, then no wonder you've got all about it, because BBR just hasn't been utilizing weapons all that well. But Benjy, he seems to be playing out of his skin. You know, he's got some weapons, and he's a one-man army up against these Direwolves, currently doing his best to grab Zerkil, and no teammates in sight. But look at that, another triple cap for BBR. They're like, are they trying to claw it back by holding all 3? I'm just not sure that they're up for the task, but you know, Benjy doing everything he could for his team there. Now Deano going in to take over the B stronghold again, and Deano highlighting him. He's 18-9, Hoots. Make that 18-10, but still +8 this game. He's just going absolutely ham.
Yeah, you spoke about the tendency to go for triple caps from BBR, and you're right, maybe it is a bit of a panic knowing that they want to try and claw some of this deficit back quickly, but when you do go for those triple caps, Justin, what you do often find is you've overextended too much and you don't have the right amount of players in some of those sites to be able to defend them. You're overstretched, you're completely thin across the map, and it just means that the other team can come in and roll straight away and start to take these caps. You just look there, we had a triple cap for BBR for a second then, but look how quickly Direwolves come in and take 2 of those back. They've only got 20 points now to go. They're in a great position to close this one out.
They certainly are, and Direwolves, they just seem to be really composed. They don't seem to be having too much trouble, and Bald, you know, just hitting the shoulder on Adz there. He's going to have to go to the physio after that one, narrowly escaping with his life. Bald's, he's still got plenty of ammo to play with there, but he's not going to be able to use it because Direwolves close out the first game 250 to 134 pretty comfortably, I think.
Yeah, and it was actually a triple cap that they closed that out with at the end. So they gave BBR a bit of their own medicine. You know, when they were slaying like they were in a position to maybe try for a bit of style points at the end then. But I think for the majority of that game, it was a nice measured response from Direwolves throughout. They never really overcommitted for too many triple caps, where it just felt like throughout the entirety, BBR thought, pretty much if we're going to be scoring, we may as well try and score as quickly as possible with those triple caps. And as we said before, it just let them a bit too thinly spread for most of that game.
Yeah, sometimes that can be a symptom of lack of communication with your teammates. You're not really linking those players. It's kind of, hey guys, they're starting to claw away from us a little bit there, and we need to coordinate. Grab ourselves one stronghold and rotate, grab map control, get that second one, wait for your picks and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that lack of communication potentially, and they're all just kind of magically going, oh my god, we're losing, like everyone quick, jump in something, and like they get a triple cap, but then they just get wiped, picked off individually, and then Direwolves just takes those strongholds straight back, and, you know, BBR not able to get a long string of points going together. But it was only game one, and we did note that there was a few boys that had a couple of weeks off their hoots, so we'll let them have that one.
Yeah, you're right, Tia. I think it was a sticky there. We rewind the spike grenade, we rewound the tape and just got that sorted, which was good. But look,
it was 100% a frag. I don't care what it says.
Yeah, never changed.
Fake news.
Never changed. But it's interesting when you consider that BBR were the highest rated team coming out of the qualifying bracket that we had earlier on the weekend, right? So they came through in that 5th seed. Obviously, Direwolves finished 4th last week, so auto qualified to come through to this week. But you know, looking at how the 4th ranked team just faced up against the 5th ranked team, then it's a pretty good sign for Direwolves that they're able to perform that strongly against a team who's effectively some of their closest competition in this series. So, look, no rest for the wicked, Justin. We are jumping straight into the next game, which we love. A nice quick transition there for us. We're moving into Slayer on Streets. We have the Rockets obviously at bottom mid there. It's always an interesting push at the start to see who can gain some kind of map ascendancy before taking those Rockets. It's often something that we don't see teams run out too quickly to grab them. Although every now and then, Justin, we do like to see someone just go sort of Rambo and then just absolutely bolt straight down the middle and try and grab them off the spawn.
I love it when they just go, you know, double NOS buttons, just going for the power-ups and just kind of YOLO Leroy Jenkins just straight into the Rockets and just, you know, no regard for their own life off the rip and hoping someone does that. No, everyone's... Come on, boys, the spanker is not lava. Go in there and grab it, boys. But we are on board with Deano, who put up massive numbers last game, Hoots. And I'd have to say, Deano has been so consistent with putting up huge amounts of slays. Even games where they've lost, Deano has been so consistent leading his squad in the slaying department. But Adz manages to get his old man hands wrapped around that spanker. Look at the patience. Yeah. He's just laid back in his armchair, and here comes Dadz with the spanker, launches one off, doesn't manage to connect. Unfortunate for him. He's still got one in the tube, though, and Adz going for another peek, and is like, this time it's gonna work. And Deano, very ambitious little peeks, just baiting Adz out there. That's got to be frustrating, Hoots.
I'm sounding like a broken record, but I feel whenever we see Rockets used in that spot on this map, they just never seem to work for the person holding them. So poor Adz goes 0 from 2 with the Rockets. They'll obviously respawn a few more times this game, so he'll have a chance to redemption. But you know what? He managed to hold on and at least keep the Rockets out of Direwolves' hands, which is the most important thing. And look, BBR's gone out to a nice little lead at the start here, Justin. They've had 2 good rounds of slays, and we do have Vaampt here using that Bulldog there to affect that New Zealand non-host or New Zealand ping working really well for him there. Not a disadvantage at all. And look at him start to hunt out Benjy here as well with the Bulldog. Few missed shots. Nice work from Benjy with the thrusters there, but manages to drop him eventually, and eventually is taken out with a nade himself. But in the meantime, we do have a pretty close game to start this one off. Direwolves down by 2.
They are, and you know, I was singing Deano praises at the start of the game. They're really gassing him up, but he's 0 and 3 right now, dude. So he's going to have to turn things around. You're making me look bad, Deano. Get a kill, damn it. Anyway, we're on board with him. It's 9-9 the scoreline. completely even Steven right now. Finds
There you
himself
go.
one. Deano's on the board. He's got that AR in hand as well. Adz trying to scamper away. Double kill for Deano. He must have heard me all the way over there in New Zealand, and he's putting some nice shots on Bradlz there. Just the confidence that he had to push, bottom mid there to grab that rockets. He puts the shots in, shoots off the rack and hits the rocket. Deano just on fire there.
Yeah, it was a good run. You called him out at the start, just then, Justin, and he performed very admirably grabbing that. But Adz is just having no luck with these rockets again. He's getting the splash damage hits at least then. Now, I don't think he got splash damage on either of the two at the start of the game. At least managed to get some there, but unfortunately just can't finish off any of those kills. So that's got to be frustrating, knowing that he's putting himself in good positions to get the power weapons in his hands. But geez, that's 3 kills now going missing for Adz there with those 2 attempts at rockets that he's had. So that has to be frustrating there. We do have Direwolves actually out to a 2-kill lead now, so they've swung it around a little bit since we had a look at the scoreboard before, and you just have to wonder what could those rockets have been. The swing there we could have seen, it's effectively a 6-kill swing if Adz was able to connect with those 3 rockets that he has had to use, but unfortunately not to be the case. Deano, nice shots there on Ninjestics, pushing him back on that ledge, but he will be taking down Ninjestics. Obviously rocking the microwave, as we like to call it, Justin, and we have seen a lot of Aussie teams really opt to use this Sentinel beam to really good effect. I like the use of it by Ninjestics here, combined with the thruster. Unfortunately couldn't finish off the kill, but does enough damage on Zerkil that his teammates can come and clean him up.
Yeah, it's so back and forth right now, Hoots. And it does look like we have a player that's lagged out, unfortunate. 20-19 was the score on the board. However, I'm not sure when that player dropped out. So we'll get back into it as soon as possible, and we'll make sure to let you know who's going to score what to finish things off. But it was really even there. And you know what? In that Strongholds game, it was all Direwolves. They were super comfortable. They were hitting all their shots and making all the right plays, multi-kills for multiple Direwolves players. But BBR, they seem to be clawing things back. And even though, as you pointed out, there was a few plays there where Adz, he had the weapons, put himself in the right positions, but just wasn't able to get it across the line. That's something we talked about pre-game, was that, if you have some of these older guys that maybe they're a bit rusty, they've had a few weeks off, haven't had time to scrim and whatnot, they still can just fall back on the fact that they know how to play Halo, and if they keep putting themselves in the right position to make plays, then eventually all those stars are going to align and they're going to make magic happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Justin. I think we're going to bring Luke back in as well, just for a moment, as we are getting this sorted out. Luke, just obviously a dropout we had in that game. We're waiting for the admins to just figure out what the score is going to be off this reset in terms of when that player did drop out. But I think for Adz, as you were saying, Justin, and Luke, you can jump in on this as well, he gets redemption to maybe use those rockets to better effect, or potentially as well just say to one of his teammates, hey, it's not really working for me, maybe one of you guys can take it. I think maybe my arthritis is just crippling me a little bit when it comes to these rockets.
I feel like this is always the funny storyline that we run into.
He's old.
When we talk about a lot of these Halo players. I mean, I think this is the beauty of Halo Infinite, is we've got a lot of these young guns mixed in with the literal dinosaurs. So it's like it is a good mix between a lot of these teams. And hey, I mean, sometimes even these old fellas, they can really bang with the best. So I mean, at this point, I think this is a pretty good redemption for a lot of these guys, and especially when we talk about the history that BBR have had so far here in Halo Infinite, I think these guys are certainly, contenders for the title, but maybe this first match might be a little bit of a bad indicator, I want to say, for BBR. It's kind of, some things that you've been touching on, right, Justin, that these guys, they came in as first seed, coming in from the open qualifier. They're going up against Direwolves, who have looked pretty good. So, maybe this might not be the best showing for them, but I certainly feel like that BBR are going to be able to make a really good run to this elimination bracket. And, especially teams like, I think Divine Nation might have, Digital Nation, not Divine Nation, Digital Nation might have a little bit of a rougher time against a team like BBR. So even if they do falter here, I still feel like we're probably going to see them pretty deep in the bracket today.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. It's just as time goes on, they might have a better time. And, we did have a little bit of a lag out there, and it's going to be starting again from zero. The admin has told me in my ears. So full reset, which actually plays into BBR's hands a little bit. They're getting more game time, meaning, some of that rust is starting to come off a little bit, and they're looking shiny and brand new again. So full restart for them. Adz gets another shot at hitting some rockets, and they were neck and neck through it up until about 20 kills. So it'll be interesting to see just what they can get going here, Hoots.
Yeah, Absolutely, Justin. So like you said, we are starting at 0-0. The scores were effectively equal, I think, when we had that dropout. So it does make sense to go 0-0. We may as well just play out a full game rather than have to do some quick maths in our heads. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We are live Twitch chat, believe it or not. We are here in Australia, so it's about 6:30 p.m. our time, but we do have Deano running straight through. Like I said before, Justin, I love the aggressive push for rockets at the start. Deano able to get through, only lose about half health going for those rockets, and he's got him in his back pocket now. Smart use of the BR there, dropping down Adz and moving in with these rockets. He has a little bit more luck with them, Justin, and Adz is also going to move in now, and he's just loaded straight away. I was wondering if his own rocket blew up right in front of him, but it definitely did land on the splash. I think it was just a quick grenade and a burst from the BR there. So not too bad there. Deano gets one kill with the rockets, but BBR does a really good job of neutralizing him there and making sure that he can't do any more damage.
Look at this, BBR hot out of the gate. 7-2 currently, and Deano scooped up those fresh rockets with not so much as a scratch on him, and Ninjestics there, the Stalker and the Bulldog as well. Benjy just lurking around the corner here. A couple of die walls around the corner. Looked like he took some shots to the bum from his teammate Adz there as well, but not watching the angles correctly. But look at that. Zerkil just turns around and he just gets deleted. Adz cleaned him up across the map there. I'm not sure if you managed to catch that one, Hoots, but Ninjestics doing very well. Hasn't died just yet and holding down this flank on this side of the map. You know, he's not collecting a lot of kills. Reversal perfect from Ninjestics. Perfect shooting from him, and he can smell that other play there. Vaampt running through his life there, who's just scampering away.
Justin, we spoke about this last week. There has been a recent tune-up, I guess, to this Stalker rifle where, you know, it's a little bit more forgiving, I guess, when you're hip firing, and you just saw Ninjestics then using it perfectly, picking up the perfect. We have now had players starting to use this gun a little bit more to great effect, which I love the fact that we have, you know, some changes to the meta throughout these tournaments as we start to evolve more and more. We do have these rockets popping up. It looks like Direwolves are in a position to start to lay a bit of suppressive fire on BBR, try and keep them at bay, but at the same time not really converting that into a run to pick them up. BBR clearly here just being held back in police station. Ninjestics shooting a few strays, but look at the coverage here across Oddball. We do have rockets now in the hands of Zerkil though, so he's able to use them to good effect with the first one. They're dropping Ninjestics, so Ninjestics going on a really good run at the start there. Actually picked up 5 assists in that life then, Justin. So that's a really great effort there of him to turn that around after a bit of a lackluster opening match there. But he is obviously taken down, and we do have the rockets in the hand of Zerkil, and he's gone 2 from 2, which is a really great effort from him.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Ninjestics, he gets taken down. Bradl's caught with his pounds down, but look at that. His boy Adz keeps him alive. And it does look like we have another lag out. I don't know if my screen is deceiving me.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and Adz is just chilling out bottom mid there. That's really unfortunate. Sorry about that one. Folks, that game was really starting to heat up too, Hoots. I could feel it in my loins.
Yeah, disappointing, right? I mean, it was a pretty solid effort there from the Direwolves guys to be really using those rockets super well. And I think were they out to about a 6-kill lead then? I think it was when we had that dropout. So we will just wait on the tournament admins to get in our ear and tell us how we'll go about this restart. Obviously, that first one, the scores were pretty much equal when we had the dropout, but we just need to figure out how that one was looking when we did lose that player from BB. I'm not sure if it was the same person that dropped out a second time, if they're having a few issues on their end, but hopefully, Justin, we can get them all sorted out and get this game underway again pretty quickly, and then, you know, get it out of the way.
Yeah, listen, some people on BBR that are having some problems. My boy Bradl's both, you know, that first game before the reset, and then again, he just seems to be dying quite a lot and not able to pick up a lot of kills. And I think when BBR was able to take control of that game early on, stringing together a decent run, even though they weren't getting rockets, is a testament to them tightening things up together as a squad. And, you know, it's unfortunate we have one player that's kind of putting up a lot of deaths. Even if they're picking up assists, it can be a little bit of a demotivator. So maybe looking to Bradl's off the reset here to pick up the game a little bit. And once they do, BBR's going to look really dangerous because they were toe-and-toe with Direwolves that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can work my magic and bring in Luke up above. Oh, perfect.
Snapping him into existence.
Luke,
That's a change of pace.
we're making you work for your paycheck tonight. Another disconnect, unfortunately, but I think we saw the die will start to flex a bit of muscle in that one before we had that disconnect.
Yeah, so it could be, potential where, we might be seeing a few of these resets really start to kind of play into one team's hands or another. I feel like, it's kind of the conversation that, I was thinking about to myself before I got brought in just here was, with these multiple resets that are coming in, like, how do these players get themselves back into the groove? And, it's kind of what Justin touched on just before, right? Where, a player like bradlllzzzz, who might not be stepping up, this gives them that opportunity to start again. It's a brand new server that's going to be jumping into, albeit maybe the points might be a little bit different, but when we jump back into their Slayer, he can reset. He can go, okay, the last couple of times I've gone all the way through purple and it hasn't worked out. I've been pushing mid, I've been rushing over to B, it hasn't really been working out. And that's where they can, kind of come with these extra kind of ideas that go into it. So Justin, albeit maybe the dial might be, firing up a little bit, but I mean, maybe multiple resets might be able to work out for these players who are a little bit of these slow starters.
Yeah, it's good. It's like a timeout, right? And, don't want to talk too much smack about bradlllzz because he's so lovely and he's so amazing. But it's a good opportunity. He's not the one lagging out and he can go, you know what, boys, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. You can splash some water on his face. You can look in the mirror and go, bradlllzz, you can do it, baby. You can get in there. And maybe that's just the reset need. And then he's the biggest monster on the map after the reset. So sometimes, that mental game, resets can be frustrating, but sometimes, as you say, it gives an opportunity to players that are struggling a little bit, their own little reset to get their heads back into the game. And I think it's, as I keep saying, I think it's starting to play into BBR's favor a little bit because Direwolves are so hot that first game, right? BBR was just nowhere to be seen. It was Direwolves all the way, but the Slayers, they're starting to go the other way a little bit. And I don't know if those resets are creeping into the minds of Direwolves, but also giving BBR a good opportunity to go, hey boys, we got a lag out, that's frustrating, but we need to tighten a few things up.
Yeah, exactly. It just allows them to have that little bit of conversations. Obviously, moving into, more of these resets, we're hoping that, it is kind of just a scenario that we get them all out at the start of today, lads. Just get them all done here, and then for the rest of the day, we're going to be A-OK. But either way, we still are just having a few conversations with the players and the admins and all that kind of stuff, just trying to get ourselves situated in a fair scenario for every single player so far. So bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We hopefully will be able to jump in towards this. So I guess the question is then, for both of you lads, I'll open it up to Hoots first, is moving forward, if this is going to be a victory here for either Direwolves or BBR, that sets them up for a date against either Divine Mind or the Chiefs. I'd imagine, looking at across at our bracket, is going to be the teams that are going to be floating forward. I think it is Divine Mind that's on that side of the bracket. So going into that's going to be a good barometer for them, right? Hoots, obviously a team like the Direwolves, if they start up super hot here in this series against BBR, they put some good damage into Divine Mind, set themselves up for a very hot Pro Series number 7. So this is a good kind of indicator for all of us here and also the teams themselves about where they're going to sit in here, moving at the end of Pro Series number 7.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it, now that we're talking about Divine Mind being the barometer. You just threw to me and we're starting the game. I appreciate it, Luke. You threw me a nice softball, but we might have to come back and chat to you a little bit later on that topic. But Justin, I've had word from the admin. We are again going to be starting at 0-0. So fingers crossed this is third time lucky for us here, and we've got all these resets out of the way. Who knows? It could just be the fact that Adz, being the old man that he is still playing on the original Xbox and hasn't upgraded his hardware yet. But I think we are going to get this one back up and running, and hopefully everything should be nice and smooth for us here. And do we see Deano going for this mad rocket run again? It worked for him last time, Justin. If I was him, I'd give it another crack.
Well, Deano's starting strat off the rip of both of those two games was completely different, and something about the 0-0 finish, not only is it easier for us to keep track of things and for those watching at home, it just means that both these teams got together and went, you know what, who cares if you're 2 kills ahead, just a fresh, clean restart, let's play some Halo. And that's exactly what we're doing. Deano with a different start, didn't go for the rockets, did get his head taken off, didn't pull his head in and got out of the way. Now Adz, he gets his second chance with the rockets, grabs one, he gets a 2-for-1. I'm paying the 2-for-1 because he killed himself off that one. Now moving on to the Ninjestics, bradlllzz, he gets a kill with those rockets. So, 4 kills from 2 rockets. Doesn't matter if you're killing yourself. I think that's pretty good efficiency.
Well, I mean, it's an improvement on last time, right? So Adz is already batting at 100 now after that, but a nice double picked up there by Benjy, holding that power position there, putting shots over on A, managed to pick himself up a double. BBR out of the blocks really quickly, Justin. 8-3 here, so they're not here to mess around. We have seen it, now this is the third game. I think we started off game 1, BBR were out strong, Direwolves were out strong in the second one, so we've evened the ledger now for this third restart, and BBR picking up a very strong lead at the start here, up by 4 kills now. We are on board with Ninjestics, just trying to stay alive here. We saw him using that Stalker rifle in the previous match, using it to great effect. He is dropped, and Zerkil unfortunately dropped as well, so seems a bit of the caster's curse happening here, Justin. Everyone we switch to is getting dropped, but just off the top here, I'm looking at the scoreboard, and it's Benjy who's really jumped out of the block. 6 kills to start this match, pretty much half of his team's score. We are on board though with Adz here, hanging around here on the Sentinel beam. He is dropped as well. It's a pretty frantic start, Justin. It's kind of hard to figure out where everything's going right now.
Yeah, it is, but I've been keeping my eyes on the player outlines of what the players are doing, and I'm noticing a lot of BBR reconnecting the players with their teammates, right? And I've seen it a few times, and it's why Benjy's been able to rack up so many kills so quickly is that, you know, he's fighting in one battle and then he cleans that player up and he instantly turns around to reconnect with another teammate that needed some help. But Zerkil finding himself Adz, putting another one on the board for the Direwolves. 19-13 is the scoreline. BBR with a fragile lead currently, but Ninjestics with those fresh rockets, he uses one, and the cleanup does come in, doesn't hit anything with the second, he falls down, but now Zerkil with that Bulldog double kill for him. Third one's there if he wants it. Bradl's just teasing him a little bit, poking his head out. Zerkil not able to connect that other multi-kill, just slapping a fresh mag of slugs into that shotty, ready to go. Bald's hiding in the corner there, probably waiting for his shields to come out. Look at this aggressive push from Zerkil there, using the shield to close the distance, killing spree, and then cops a couple of grenades. Unfortunate for him, but I was feeling it, and Zerkil, you could tell he was really starting to get in the groove of things.
Yeah, I like the aggressive slide in there by Zerkil, dropping the drop ball as well for a bit of cover. Unfortunately, just a lucky nade really coming through to take him out here. We are on board with Benjy. Nice use of the nades are on Vaampt. I'm not 100% sure even knew Vaampt was definitely in there, but then picks up a double there, so really great work. He's going for the triple. Nice use of the thrusters, picks it up. Unfortunately, doesn't get the overkill, but we see time and time again, Justin, players really starting to favour towards this thruster pack. You know, a lot of these players playing Halo 5 a lot, with a lot of experience of that mechanic of the game, and the thruster pack's just becoming so crucial on maps like Streets.
Yeah, listen, even when I'm playing, right, I used to play with thruster on one of my paddles on my Elite, and the first thing I did was remap the equipment to my paddle so I could thrust, just like I did back in Halo 5. But we are playing Halo Infinite, and we're on board with Benjy. He's got that Stalker. He always seems to have that weapon in hand, and he's always giving himself the best opportunity to rack together kills. He's using every little thing on the map to try and get things going, and he's translating really well because he is 14-7, who's going huge for the BBR boys, and the scoreline, it's pretty tight right now, but it has been BBR leading this entire time. And Ninjestics so confident there, pushing out, full shields, ready to get another cleanup, finds himself Vaampt, and it does look like BBR, they're getting players weak, and then they're calling them out, and their boys are going in to clean them up.
Adz has got the rockets in his hands again. Unfortunately, he's looking the wrong way. I like the idea there. He did know there was a player above him, but unfortunately the swarm really did come through bottom mid. He drops them, but the good news is Bradlz is there to pick them up and help out his team once Adz had dropped them. So see here, just staring at a BR. Might want to pick that one up. Unfortunately not. He walks away, but he is still holding on to this these rockets. He has one left, and this kind of a lead that BBR have right now, up by 7, they really can sort of take the sting out, which we're seeing them do now. So Direwolves are going to have to come for them, and they have the rockets here. So Bradl's sort of in a really perfect position here. He's peeking out a little bit and getting a bit aggressive with these rockets. So it looks like the push is coming into Trem, and now he's got this upper position here, Justin. He can rain down fire down below if there are any players there, which doesn't look like there actually are. So he's trying to just get himself into a position where he doesn't have to shoot up like he's doing now, because the splash damage is a bit harder to hit there, but he is going to be moving up on these stairs here. But Deano's trying to hunt him down. So Direwolves have done well to not allow him to use this rocket, and he was actually dropped there. So we see that assist coming up. I'm not sure where these new rockets will be. I think they might actually be down in bottom middle. So we are going to see a bit of a push, and we we did have them in the hand of Ninjestics there, so still one rocket alive here. We have BBR on a 5-kill lead right now. They're on 41, looking to close this out. I still don't think these rockets have actually been used yet. Benjy dropped with them there, it looked like. So he is on 17 kills now, so leading the way. But rockets actually didn't drop there, Justin, so I'm not 100% sure where they have gone. They are spawning again in another 30 seconds, so perhaps they were used there. This game's sort of starting to get a bit close as well, Justin. Only a 5-kill lead for BBR right now.
Yeah, whoever manages to get this last set of rockets, Hoots, I think it will be GG for them. The scoreline may as well be the same. It's only really one round of slays, and, you know, Direwolves, they seem to be putting things together a little bit more. Yes, they're trailing, but each string of kills they're able to get together seems to be really well executed. They're collapsing as a squad, and BBR doing really well. Benjy, another double kill potential there for him. And those rockets, as you say, Hoots, thank you very much for letting me know, they are up. But who managed to scoop them up? It looks like Vaampt has got it. He's 10 and 11 right now, and he's key to victory for Direwolves right now. Can't afford to let these rockets go to waste. Manages to find himself one, and it is only one kill, but he is able to take control of this area of the map, Hoots, and sometimes that's all you need. Trailing by 3, it could go either way at this point.
Oh, he just got pinched there. Really unfortunate. That first rocket was they didn't get a kill with that second rocket. Obviously was helpful, but it looks like it might be too little too late. BBR's managed to swing this back in their favor a little bit, and not just that, they do have a bit of map position here around the police station, although not able to secure that kill there, and it's actually only one kill left for BBR. So they do have the swarm here going on, looking over towards arcade side. Deano's stuck here in PD, so Nade's going there. Deano's going to be super weak, just trying to stay alive, still in PD. You can see they're trying to push in the BBR guys. Deano still no shields, just trying to stay alive, and he actually does manage to get dropped, I think it was, right at the end there. So 50-45, BBR take the win there. They just really had to work hard for that final kill there, but I love the way they got together, grouped together, and swarmed in on Deano from multiple angles when they knew he was weak. Really good effort to finish that one out, as it was starting to get really close towards the end. Direwolves mounted a pretty good comeback, and I thought it was going to be a much closer ending, but it looks like they just couldn't get those final couple of kills, and BBR in the end wrapped it up pretty quickly in those final few moments of the game.
And I think that plays into the experience of the players on the BBR roster as well. They didn't get, oh my god, they're catching up, oh my god, they're catching up, they won't miss. They're just cool, collecting. It's like, hey boys, players weak over here, let's collapse on it. It's one kill at a time, we're a little bit closer, and they seem to be working really well together as a unit, unlike that Strongholds game where everyone was doing their own things, like, hey, I'm going to capture C, hey, I'll capture B, and then Adz is over, you know, in A trying to capture those Strongholds. They seem to be reconnecting their plays really well, and Direwolves just couldn't get it done against them. BBR just so strong, and something I want to highlight is that every player on BBR was playing really well. They kept their deaths low, put up huge amounts of damage for the squad, but Father Benjy with the 20 bomb as well, Hoots. For those that managed to catch that little scoreline, he's going massive.
Yeah, we saw a great stick from him there as well down on ball spawn. But Benjy was out of the gates really strong, right? He picked up that double. We saw this triple here, which is fantastic work. They're using the thruster, almost the overkill. Sometimes we say pay it, Justin, but you kind of at least have to get the trade to pay it there. So just a triple for him, but he was super aggressive throughout the whole game. And you're right there. I think he was 20 and 14 in the end there. But I also noticed as well, we spoke about Bradl's, how he hadn't been playing for quite a while. And accuracy is by no means the really be-all and end-all, but Bradl's was going at about a 63% accuracy in that match.
Straight beaming, my boy.
Yeah,
Brad.
So it's clearly not a mechanical. He's got no mechanical issues right now. He's warmed up and he's straight back in, hitting a lot of his shots. You know, above 60 in terms of accuracy is pretty high level. So clearly he's not missing any of that. He's jumped straight back in and is doing a lot of damage across the map for his team. But importantly, Justin, first series, we're not having a clean sweep. We're going to a decisive game 3. It is Oddball on Recharge.
How good.
Which is a game type where I think we've had probably some of our most classic moments across the HCS in ANZ on this map with this game type. And one thing in particular that's quite unique to the ANZ community is that we do see the actual countdown timer in each round becoming a real factor. We do see a lot of rounds actually ending without teams hitting that 100-point threshold. So it does become a game initially of time, accruing of time, but then we do see teams transition to a bit more of an area denial, I guess, game style. So we'll keep our eyes out if that's the case here in this decisive Game 3. But Justin, I got to get a prediction off you as we do go into this final one. BBR Direwolves, who are you taking?
Oh, I've got to back Direwolves with the way that they played over the weekend and Armageddon NZ. You know, BBR was looking really strong in the Slayer, but the thing is the Direwolves have just been going, you know, strength to strength, so I'm going to give it to them. But we are starting things off with Bradlls. He had a rough couple of first games, but he turned things up in that last Slayer there, so big props to him. Now with Ninjestics, I'm not sure where that camo is. It looks like it's still ready for the scooping down there on the ground, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for what's going on with that one. And Ninjestics, he seems to be just going everywhere and so comfortable. Bradl scooping that camo with the ball as well, so he'll probably handle that one off so he can go on the hunt. Predator mode, and he's putting some nice shots into Balds there. Balds chooses not to challenge Bradlls and back straight off. And a strategic play like Bradlls, I'd be really looking to him to make it a nice play and using up this OS completely.
Yeah, I like the use of the camo with Bradlls, just at least getting the ball out of the spawn. He was able to just run straight at it without being detected. And whilst he does show up on the heads-up display once he picks up that ball, he did have Ninjestics there to palm it off once he was able to get it to a safe space. So good work, good teamwork there by BBR has allowed them to get out to this initial lead. Granted, it is small, only 12 seconds, but we did see at the very start, especially, BBR slaying quite strongly with Direwolves. I think they sort of slayed them out about twice before going for that initial ball pick, and they also had camo in their hands. So you can tell they're switched on going into this game too, Justin, which is most important. And we are seeing that traditional ANZ stalemate that I talked about in terms of ball not really getting a huge amount of tension at the start, while teams start to basically feel each other out in these opening moments of the game. At this point, though, we do have Direwolves now starting to take a play on the ball, taking it to Old Faithful up in top gold.
Yeah, something I was taking note of then, Hoots, was the two Direwolves players were down there bottom mid. The ball was there, they were getting shot at, and they opted to just leave it. And you know the communication would be just leave ball, don't give up your life, stay alive. And they reconnected the players, and then they worked so well baiting and switching to get something going, and it translated into them getting a little bit of ball time. Yes, we're back on board with BBR. Bradlls with the double kill there, and they're getting some ball time, but Direwolves, they do seem to be working in sync together really well.
Yeah, I think they tried to make an attempt, BBR, at getting the ball down to blue, but I'm not sure what happened then exactly. I think they might have decided to bring it back, and we do have it here sitting around top mid, pushing potentially over to long haul. Bald with this camo here, so he's able to move around quite freely. Catches Benjy completely off guard. Benjy throwing a few nades to stay alive, almost reversed it on him there, but Bald now, unfortunately, he's dropped, so, you know, they neutralized that camo pretty well. Bald was able to get the jump on Benjy, but Benjy put up a good fight and managed to drop him down to one shot, which got rid of that camo in the end. We have Ninjestics now bringing this up to top gold. And Justin, this is a really close opening stanza of this game here. Both teams pretty much neck and neck in terms of ball time, but Ninjestics now with this ball, he's going to cop a few nades, it looks like, whilst Adz slowly wanting to creep in. And look at this communication here. He has just waiting, knowing that the Direwolves guys are coming in. He got the intel from Ninjestics. Unfortunately, Ninjestics wasn't really able to do a huge amount of damage, and he was dropped as well. So nice work of cleaning that out by Direwolves, dropping 3 players for BBR, effectively 4 now that we have Bradlls taken down there as well, and Direwolves should be able to get a fair bit of uncontested ball time here.
Yeah, and they've got the ball, but Deano is on the hunt right now. He's got his bloods up, and he's looking for those players, and he's just going through, and I want to highlight his kills at the moment, going 8 and 4, just like Balds as well. He's going, putting up some big numbers as well, but Deano, he just seems to be ultra aggressive. He does fall in that situation, but you could really see that he was concentrating on just putting pressure on those BBR guys. He's getting up in their faces and just delaying them as much as possible. Vaampt with such steady shots there. You know, Bradlls was trying to surprise him, but Vaampt to just remain true. And look at this, they're pushing in, and it's all mayhem going on right now. Players falling left and right. That camo has just popped up as well, and Bradlls looks like he's going to be able to scoop that one up scot-free. No one on him, but as I say that, a caster's curse. I'm sorry, Bradlls. I called you out, and Ball just turns around and melts him. That's a critical kill for Direwolves there.
This has been a really good run from BBR to get a fair bit of ball time here. They're only up by 5, but they've managed to get a fair bit of map control and a good solid chunk of it here. And you could see as they were getting overrun there in top blue, they managed to play ball it back to top middle here. So, you know, not allowing Direwolves to come in and just get some easy ball time when they were going through and outslaying the BBR guys. We do have the ball now sitting back up top mid before, as I said, no one making a move on it yet, although we do have, as soon as I say, it always seems to be the case, as soon as I say that, Bald now looks like he's bringing it to top gold. And with Deano here holding this shock rifle, he's going to go for a few quick trick shots. Unfortunately, I think he actually did manage to hit that one at the start, even though it didn't look like it on our screen. So great work from Deano there. Shooting some fire extinguishers, dropping Ninjestics. 3 down for BBR. Adz is the last guy alive. He does manage to get a kill there in long haul on Zerkil, but he's not really going to be in a position to make any move on this ball, as we have Direwolves now skipping out to a bit of a lead. And I like this rotation, Justin, starting to move it over here onto the A side, getting it away from BBR, knowing that they only need about 20 seconds left. At this point, you're just trying to keep the ball as far away from BBR as possible.
Certainly are. I like that rotation as well, Hoots. And double kill for Benjy. He does fall, but the Direwolves stronghold still standing. Winterfell has not fallen just yet. Bradl's staying alive, getting the better of him. Bradl's and Adz doing well to break down the gates, and now they're stringing some ball time together, but Adz pokes his head out just a little bit too much. Cops a spray of bullets to the face. Bradl's falls as well. Deano scooping that one up, and the camo is about to pop. It's got about 10 seconds to go, and Deano just trying to get that ball away, and he does manage to get it all the way into the pipes. He just scooped that one up all the way in the open and just ran away scot-free. I'm not sure BBR should have let him get away with that, Hoots. And look at that, 98-100. First round goes to Direwolves.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Justin. BBR's setup they had there at top A was broken a little bit too easily. They decided to keep and hold it there in top A, but probably should have started to move it over towards blue. They did have 2 teammates over on that blue side, ready to provide some cover if that transition was made, and unfortunately just a little bit too slow to move it over there, and that was kind of all she wrote for that opening round, allowing Direwolves to grab it there and basically just put separation between them and BBR to take that win there. Bradl's, I'm loving this, the only guy left alive, and just putting in a beautiful double there to at least keep the momentum and the ledger even there on the scoreboard in terms of players being alive and dead. So great work there, not allowing Direwolves to just take an easy run at the ball to get some opening time. Those little moments there just going to be so crucial. And Bradl's is just playing this to absolute perfection right now. The melee, unfortunately, isn't going to land, but he does clean it up on Vaampt. And look at that, with Bradl's just running amok, it allows Adz to grab this camo here and start to make a move in. A lucky nade will actually catch him there on that walkway, so he'll have to back up a little bit, but he still manages to stay alive, valuing his life really well, knowing he has about 20 or so seconds left on this camo to stay alive. And that little moment there is allowing him to get that kill on Zerkil, because he gets that one extra shot at the start, really helping him win that fight. Love it.
Yeah, really great stuff from BBR on all fronts, and they have got a nice lead off the rip too. Benjy does fall, but look at Bradl's, was struggling a couple of games ago. Now he's third, 14-11. Bradl's the wrecking ball. Just nice crispy BR shots, and look at that, he scampers away with his life once again. But we are on board with Vaampt from Direwolves. He's 12-14 currently, and BBR, they're going on one hell of a run with this oddball, and Vaampt, he does fall now with Deano, as he's doing everything he can to break this setup that the BBR boys have, but they just keep stringing together more and more points. So look at that, Ninjestics with the perfectly placed nades taking him out. Now Zerkil, you can tell he's a little bit hesitant about going in. He's like, boys, you go in there and you get dropped instantly. I'm not sure I want to do it. Look at this, Adz. Adz is Dadz, showing everyone who is boss in this household. Now with Bradl's again, he's 15-12, and he can slay, he can do it all. Now he's getting some OBJ time in as well, Hoots.
Gee, just fantastic work from BBR there to not allow the ball to even leave top A, really. Adz just trying to stay alive with this camo. I don't mind it. Right idea. Unfortunately, he is taken down. But just going back to that hold before, like, look at this. 50 uncontested seconds to BBR right now. They were just fighting tooth and nail to hold the Direwolves off the whole time while that ball was held in A. They were losing 1 or 2 players, but just trying to stay alive as long as they could while reinforcements came in just meant that Direwolves could not get their hands on that ball and could not break that setup. It's just, it wasn't pretty, but they did such a great job of just keeping the ball in their control at least and not allowing Direwolves to get anywhere near it.
Yeah, and I think that's just credit to their communication and their teamwork tightening up considerably. You know, as you say, it can be a bit scrappy, but you know, if you're working together as a squad, doesn't matter if it's a bit scrappy. If you get baited and switched on, then there's not a lot you can do when you're one shot. But BBR, look at this, they're just racking up even more points. Direwolves struggling a little bit. Massive run now on board with Ninjestics. He's got that shock rifle as well. It's going to be really hard to push and break that setup when you have that snipe weapon in hands of someone like Ninjestics getting a fresh reload. But the nades are coming in to try and clear him out, but it's all BBR in the stronghold right here trying to hold things down, and they're making a push in. Here comes the Direwolves. They've got to break this setup. They're really racking up some points. Benjy tried to milk as much time as he can. 95 points onto the board. You know, Direwolves, they've got to play perfect Halo from this point, because BBR, they can just make one last push and just scrap together some time and take out this round.
Ninjestics was doing a great job with that shock rifle putting in assist, but look at this setup from Direwolves. So this is pretty good here. They've all set on this A side. You just want a bit of rotation around maybe the top gold to provide a bit of crossfire there, but apart from that, BBR are going to have a pretty hard time of breaking this setup and getting in there with any real setup of their own. So look, 2 down for BBR. Direwolves just really happy to camp around this top A side. They're only 1 down right now, and just look at the cross shots coming in across the map here from these power positions that they are in. Vaampt just trying to get these assists in, staying alive here, ducking out when his shields are low. They've gone on about a 35, 40 point uncontested run here, which is what BBR did to them just before. But look, the BBR guys are held pretty far across the map. Benjy is down in this bottom catwalk A. He is starting to push into bottom A now and gets in. So that could be the moment there, Justin. You see, he picks up that kill and Ninjestics comes straight in. Look at this collapse here. Adz comes in as well. They've pretty much just wiped Direwolves here. They pick up the ball and take this second round. So that was just perfectly executed by them. Once they got that first drop, they knew, let's just swarm. We've got the numbers advantage. Come in there and take out that second round. You know, it looked like potentially Direwolves were going to bring that back, but just one swift movement there from Benjy to make an opening there, and they just collapse in. Perfect Halo.
Yeah, I think maybe that highlights the problem when you have just like, hey, let's just hold a setup, and it works really well sometimes to rack up some safe points while you get your head in the game, but it also gives the other team a lot of time to coordinate their push. They can really go, okay, boys, you know, 2 of us, we're going to push into here. This player's one shot, push that player, take them out, and that's exactly what BBR did. They just broke that setup open like they're making scrambled eggs. Adz caught with his pants down. He falls, balls with that camo, trying to stay alive. He goes down, but you know, Direwolves, good run on that second round there, but BBR able to close things out. So 1 round apiece. Winner takes all this round. You know, we're in best of 3. We're all tied up, even with our oddball rounds here on board with Deano, who's 20 and 21 right now. You know, he's gone -1, but look at the assists. 14 assists. Ooh, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The assists coming in nice and strong for the BBR squad across the board, really. Almost all of them in double-digit assists. This game has started off, this round, I should say, has started off a little bit slow, but a lot of slaying, obviously, but not real much attention on the ball. We do have Vaampt here sitting top gold. He might drop down and try and pick that up, but Ninjestics is going to have some good shots at him across the board. Look at these little one-shot kills they're just cleaning up constantly, Justin. Here's another one. That's 2 for Ninjestics. So teammates clearly doing the damage, and Ninjestics can just roam around that top middle area and start to put in shots and clean those one shots up, but still no one really getting the ball. Benjy maybe giving some ideas and saying, you can go down and grab it, mate, and the ball will be picked up by Deano, who's the one he repulsed over there, but it looks like Direwolves aren't really going to be in a position to get much of a setup here. It's sort of just taking out a necessity right now. That ball's just staying non-picked up, and we might even see another reset, Justin. So, you know, with this final round being really coming down to this final round, teams are going to be super cautious about when they make these pushes. Adz here with a double, almost a triple there. So this should be the opening BBR can get to make a move on this ball. It is down at bottom camo. So camo and ball, I like that. Ninjestics opts for the camo instead of the ball, puts the camo in, and he'll now be able to provide hopefully a bit of cover for Adz, but it isn't going to really come about. He is still alive there, manages to get 1 kill, looking for a second here. We do have 2 down for Direwolves, 2 down for BBR, so Ninjestics, I like this. Just getting the ball a little bit out of there. He's got it at least out of a major sight line, and we are maybe going to see BBR start to make a bit of a push on this ball with Benjy moving into bottom A, although he's going to back up as well, Justin. Maybe the ball is lava again, like we were saying.
Yeah, no one wants to grab it, but I think maybe both teams they're not going for scrap. They're like, hey, we need to get kills before we can do anything. Like, just keep it simple. Get our kills, get set up and go for a run of ball time rather than just like full-on rumble pit down bottom mid, scrapping time together to try and win, because we're like a good minute and a half into this round, and both teams aren't even in the double digits yet. And as I say that, Adz, he scoops up the ball, but they are pretty well set up now. Like, look at that. As soon as they clear out this section of the map, get some control, they just pick that ball straight up and start racking up some points. And with Benjy and the shock rifle holding off the Direwolves, it could be looking pretty good for the BBR boys.
Yeah, they do. They have managed to put on a nice little chunk here as we have Benjy with this shock rifle. We saw Ninjestics in the last round putting it to great use. But Benji's just able to run around bottom mid. He was lining it up on Deano. I think he might have connected there, and he finishes it up as well. Yeah, I love that.
Was
just
smooth.
Very smooth as butter the whole time. Adz is just sitting pretty up here. They're almost at the halfway point in this opening round here. Nice plasma there. I don't actually, might have been opposition player might have been on the other side of the wall there, so it might not have connected. But Adz, really smart work here, moving this ball around to top gold, getting a bit more cover. Ninjestics is over there on top A, providing cover from that side, not letting any of the players move through A. And even on this blue area as well, we have bradlllzzzz just pushing the Direwolves players back. It is balled over there around blue, and I think there's someone above him as well, but no one in a position to make a move on this ball. Surprise, gets the melee there, doesn't clean it up, didn't get the assassination, so he's just going to back up. Smart move, because now this whole time Direwolves are going to be worrying about the camo player running around. They should be worried because he's going to pick up the assist on Vaampt. There should be another one here on Deano. He can't land the melee, unfortunately, the reload at the awkward time, but this whole time BBR have been picking up more ball time, so they are now out to about a 60-point lead, Justin. Direwolves are going to have to do something fast, or they're going to be fighting their way through the elimination bracket pretty soon.
Yeah, I love that play from bradlllzzzz there. He has the camo, he has the player one shot, and rather than go for that peek on the one shot player that he knew was there, he just tuck-tailed and repositioned, as you highlighted perfectly, Hoots. It just, they're going to be looking for that camo player going, where the hell is he? And, bradlllzzz's such a heads-up play from him, and it's really paid dividends big time for BBR, because they've got a super comfortable lead right now, and they can just keep doing what they're doing, and Adz picking up one, not getting too greedy and challenging for the double. And look at this, he stays alive, waits for a player to go past. Bald has no idea that he's there, and here comes Adz. It's spanking time from Dadz himself going in, and Deano caught unaware as well. Double kill, and a killing spree, triples there if he wants it. Adz robbed of a triple kill again there, Hoots, and Direwolves 74-11 right now. They just seem to be such control of this game.
Yeah, it was so close. There was almost a potential for an overkill there. Unfortunately, it just couldn't come about, but the clock down in that bottom middle of the screen there is going to become the real factor soon, Justin, as BBR do go 4 down. So Direwolves, they're going to have to go for a pretty long chunk of ball time here. Obviously, when you do pick up the ball, that timer does stop, so that's an advantage for them if they can get 1 or 2 good chunks, but it just means every time the ball isn't being held by either team, Direwolves are going to start panicking, knowing they have a bit of a deficit to come back from, and the time simply is becoming a factor against them, so they can't make too many mistakes from here on out. Although they do have a nice round of slays here on BBR, the push is going to come across the A catwalk, so Vaampt should be keeping his eyes on that space there, as we do see BBR are pinned back. So just checking his back here, Vaampt. He doesn't really have too much to worry about right now if he does keep maintaining his power position here. He's just going to keep BBR worried, because they're going to know that they can't push across, knowing that Vaampt is going to be there tagging them up as they make the move. But I think Adz was able to get across quickly, and just like last time, it was Benjy that managed to get in and disrupt the setup. But I love the defensive play from Bald here with the double. Takes out all 4 players of BBR, Justin, and they're going to get another really good run of time here, the Direwolves.
Direwolves doing so well, hadn't they, Hoots? It was all BBR, was saying they're in such control, but then Direwolves, they just flipped the script straight away, and all of a sudden they've gone on this huge run. They seem to be just having so much presence on the map, and BBR, they were cool as cucumbers now, but they're hot little potatoes trying to get points onto the board. They're choking just a little bit, but as I say that, Benjy comes in with some help, and look at that, they've got a nice setup here. They've got Adz the buffer over in Turbine. Ninjestics with the shock rifle. Could be the speed, the last run. Double kill for Ninjestics. That's going to be very bad news for Direwolves. They haven't got a lot of time. 93 points on the board. They're starting to rack them up. It could be BBR that puts this one away, Hoots, and there we go. Taking it over, and they take the series 2-1 over the hot Direwolves. BBR, they came out swinging, some floppy noodle arms, but now they're hitting like Mike Tyson. What a series.
I didn't think, Luke, we were going to really see a flipping like that, given the spanking that BBR copped in that opening game. But it is worth noting that they started off super slowly in that Strongholds game on live fire in game 1. But even though they did lose by about 100 or so points, they were starting to even gain a bit of momentum towards the end of that game, and they then just carried that all the way through the following 2. And that's a really great effort to dust off the cobwebs and turn it around like that. And I mean, it was there were a lot of players to talk about, really. I think Ninjestics was the slaying leader in that game, that final game there. But across the board, really, Benjy was breaking setups, bradlllzzzz was just providing great cover fire, and Adz was just being really aggressive when he needed to, picking up some really clutch double kills throughout to break those setups.
Yeah, it really did feel like that BBR kind of got themselves into a groove towards the end of this series, and I think that is just a big check for me going forward in the rest of today. Like, if this is what BBR is going to look like when they start getting a little bit more game time underneath their belt, then, hey, what's it going to look like when we get deeper in the night and they've had a whole lot of series underneath their belts? And this is the kind of reason why that we wanted to cover this series, right? We knew it was going to be a very tight contest. It went all the way down to the wire in the final round of the final map of the Oddball, and everyone is stepping up. BBR, fortunately enough, were able to get out on top of the Direwolves here, but I still don't feel like Direwolves are down and out, much the same as what we were talking about BBR before. If they did fall down in the elimination bracket, I still feel like both these two teams have a fair shout at even the top 2 spot today. And so seeing these two go head-to-head early on just goes to show that it is going to be a very tight race. Any of these teams heading towards the top 4 this week. And I mean, this is a good start for BBR, right, Justin? This is the perfect start for BBR, getting a whole lot of these nerves and maybe a few of these kinks out of their gameplay. They were able to get it done against a good team in the Direwolves as well. It went all the way to 5 maps, and they had to, kind of dig deep to prove their worth here. And I mean, they got it done in 3 maps, but I mean, what a good start here for BBR.